What's the funniest reason you've been called into school to collect your child? My daughter Lucy was 8 when I got the strangest phone call from her elementary school. The secretary sounded completely flustered when she said I needed to come pick up my child immediately due to a biohazard incident in the cafeteria. My mind went to the worst places. Food poisoning, some kind of chemical spill. I dropped everything at work and raced to the school expecting to find ambulances and hazmat teams. Instead, I walked into the principal's office to find Lucy sitting there with her arms crossed, covered head to toe in what looked like chocolate pudding. Her hair was matted down with it, her white school uniform was completely brown, and she had this defiant look on her face. The principal, Mrs. Williams, looked exhausted. She explained that Lucy had started a full-scale food fight during lunch that involved 17 third graders and approximately 43 cups of chocolate pudding. But it wasn't really a food fight, Lucy interrupted. It was a scientific experiment about projectile motion and gravity. We were testing whether chocolate pudding follows the same physics laws as water balloons. Apparently, Lucy had convinced half her class that they needed to conduct this experiment by launching pudding across the cafeteria to see how far it would travel. She'd even assigned different kids specific roles like launcher, target, and data recorder. The lunch lady, Mrs. Peterson, walked in covered in chocolate from head to toe. She looked like she'd been dipped in a candy factory, but instead of being angry, she was trying not to laugh. "Your daughter organized this entire operation like a military commander," she said. She had Tommy standing on tables measuring distances with a ruler, Emma timing how long the pudding stayed airborne, and Marcus drawing diagrams of the splatter patterns. The janitor wheeled in a mop bucket filled with brown water. "Took me 2 hours to clean the walls," he said. "But I gotta admit, these kids had some impressive aim. There's pudding on the ceiling tiles." Lucy stood up and handed me a crumpled piece of paper covered in chocolate fingerprints. It was her scientific findings written in purple crayon. She'd actually calculated the optimal launch angle for maximum distance and recorded wind resistance factors. "Mom, did you know that chocolate pudding travels 23% further than vanilla because it's denser?" she said with complete seriousness. "And if you add whipped cream, it changes the aerodynamics completely." The principal shook her head. "We've never had a student turn lunch into a physics lab before. The health department requires us to deep clean the entire cafeteria now, and 17 children went home looking like they fell into a chocolate fountain." But then Mrs. Williams smiled a little. However, Lucy did demonstrate advanced problem-solving skills and leadership qualities. She just applied them to pudding warfare instead of her math homework. On the drive home, Lucy was quiet for exactly 3 minutes before asking, "Mom, do you think Jell-O would have different flight patterns than pudding? Because Jell-O is more gelatinous, so the air resistance might be completely different." I told her we were not conducting any more food experiments at school. She nodded seriously and said, "You're right, I should probably test that theory at home first to gather baseline data." That night, I found Lucy in her room with a notebook, sketching diagrams of different cafeteria layouts and calculating optimal pudding trajectories. She turned her punishment into homework. The next day, I packed her lunch in a completely sealed container. No pudding cups, no Jell-O, nothing that could become ammunition. Just a sandwich, apple slices, and a juice box. But when I picked her up after school, the teacher pulled me aside with a concerned look. "We need to talk about Lucy's science project presentation today," she said. Apparently, Lucy had given a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation to her class titled "The Physics of Food, a Cafeteria Case Study," complete with charts, graphs, and before and after photos of yesterday's pudding experiment. She turned getting in trouble into extra credit.